On the
See, y'all be on Instagram, huh? Y'all. So we really on the rock. Okay, let us sing the song, all right? Come on, let's go for it. We gotta find some energy. Come on, right there.
Hey everybody, good evening. Good evening. I know it's late. But that's okay. Because I came on because I wanted to talk to mothers, fathers, sons, daughters, however, whoever. I wanted to come on and I wanted to just give what God laid in my heart today, and we pray that it will bless somebody and that it will encourage someone on today. So, as many people know, I made a post earlier today, which talked about today being um, my mom's birthday. And today was a hard day for me. It has since gotten much better, but it started out as a hard day, started out as a rough day. It was just what it was. It was just a day, and it has been a while since I had a rough day of it being her birthday, and today was just that day. It was just a rough day. Um, I began to think about how old she would have been today. She would have been 95. That would have been a milestone if God would have allowed her to live to see it. And I began to think about the things that she is not here for. She was not here for my first child, which was Melanie, who only lived a couple of days. Then 2 years later, of course, I had my son, Trey. She's not here for that either. She's just missed a lot of things that have gone on, and she's not here to see the prayers that she prayed, and she's just missing a lot of things. So today, when I woke up, it hit me kind of hard, and I cried for a while. And then I stopped, and then I cried some while, and that was basically how it was for the better part of the morning. Today was a day of tears and stopping, tears and stopping. So it was grief today. And I just allowed that emotion to come, and I walked through that emotion because it was okay for me to say today, I'm not okay. And I think sometimes as people, as Christian, as women, as mothers, sisters, daughters, we are so busy being nurturers, and we're so busy trying to be everything for everybody else that we don't take the time to walk through those emotions when they come. We don't take the time to say, I'm not okay today. This is what I feel today. This is the emotion that I'm having today. And we try to just say, I'm okay, and we're going to be a trooper, and we're just going to go beyond anything. I just got it. When in actuality, you don't have it. You're not feeling like being a trooper because you're grieving a situation or a person or an event, whatever it is, and you're not allowing yourself that opportunity and time to let that emotion come and you deal with it. But today, I let the emotion come, and I I dealt with it, and I said, God, this hurts. I need you to help me. This hurts. And so this morning, that was my post, was that this year is hard for me. Her birthday this year, it's hard. And it's okay that I'm not okay. It's okay that I have cried off and on quite a bit today, because that is an emotion that I needed to have, and not try to pretend like I'm fine and everything's fine and it's all good and I'm going to just troop or go on past this and I'm going to be okay. No, I'm not okay today. I'm not okay right now. But I'm going to be all right, because God's going to help me get through this emotion today. I just need to have the moment. And so I had the moment, and I began to think about the things that I went through, the things that I put her through, the things that I know broke her heart. I went through the emotion of, I know people told her I was a lost cause. I know people told her to give up. I know people told her, you need to do this, you need to do that, she needs to learn. I know people said a lot of different things to her. Some of them I didn't hear. I just know they said it. Some I heard people say. I heard what they said to her. But what I will say is, my mother just prayed. She continued to pray for me. She continued to believe that God was going to answer her prayer. She continued to believe that God was going to bring her daughter back, that God was going to draw her daughter back to him. She continued to pray. When nobody else believed, when nobody else cared, when nobody else prayed, my mother continued to pray. And so I wanted to talk to the moms and the dads about your children, that, maybe they are saved, or should I say, maybe they were saved and they've backslidden. Maybe they aren't saved. Maybe they are saved and they're not going, exactly in the way that God is leading or directing them to go. They're making some mistakes in their walk. I really want to talk, though, to the parents who have prodigals, the ones that have gone, they have left. Prodigals are not just sons, prodigals are daughters. They're sons and daughters. I can say that because I was a prodigal, and I'm not a son, I'm a daughter. And I was a prodigal. I was one that was raised in church, had that foundation, grew up in church. And because I thought I was missing something, when I got grown and I got old enough, my thing was, guess what? I'm going to go do me. I'm going to go do me. I am not going to keep doing what we've been doing. I'm not going to keep walking the way we walking. I'm grown. I'm going to go out into the world and I'm just going to be me. I'm going to be Sonia. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go out and I'm just going to do that. And I proceeded to go out and do a whole bunch of things. All kinds of, just, when I think about it, I'm like, oh my God, I did that. That was so crazy. That was so stupid and so dumb. But at the time, because, I'm thinking I'm grown and I'm an adult and can't nobody tell me anything, I'm just going to go out here and I'm just going to do what I want to do because I'm grown and because I can. I was dating somebody I shouldn't have been dating. So that added to it, because when you have issues that have occurred in your life, in your childhood, those issues follow you all the way through to your adult life if you don't deal with them early on. So abandonment, rejection, looking for love in all the wrong places, I ended up in a relationship I had no business in. But I'm young, think I know everything. My mama can't tell me anything. She old, she don't know what she talking about. I'm grown, I'm gonna do this. Okay. I cannot say I understand what my mother felt, because I don't. Because thank God I haven't had that experience, and I pray that I don't. But I can only imagine how she must have felt. I've raised this daughter. I've raised her. And this is what she's doing. This is how she's talking, and this is how she's acting. This is what's going on. And I know that had to break her heart. I know that she spent nights crying, and I know she spent nights talking to my sister. I know she did. That there were conversations that were had about, oh my God, she's done this, that, and the other, and all this other stuff. And knowing the only thing that she can do is pray, because she can't stop what I'm doing and what I'm going through. All she can do as a mother is pray, because her daughter has now turned into a prodigal who's not going to church anymore, who is not even thinking about church, who's out going to clubs and drinking. And of course, the drinking really wasn't working for me, but just trying to do what I thought I could do. Going to clubs, getting into clubs, underage drinking, dating the wrong kind of person, and just outright just acting just crazy. And I guess, as people would say now, I was wilding out, but I was out of control, just doing whatever, just whatever. Was what I was doing. I wasn't promiscuous, so I wasn't sleeping around or doing any of that, but I was doing the other things. I was cussing, and I was partying, and I was dating this person, and I was dating, well, just that one person. I was dating this person, and I was doing all this stuff, and doing illegal kind of things, and fraud kind of stuff, just doing all this kind of stuff, just doing all of this. And meanwhile, I have a mother at home that's sitting there like, oh my God, what has happened to my daughter? What is going on? And all she can do is pray and cry and pray and cry and pray and cry. And then there are other people, I'm sure, like I said, I heard some conversations, and, people are saying, well, if I were you, I would do this, and this needs to happen to her, and she need to learn this lesson, and you need to just be done with her, and there's no hope for her, and she's gonna end up like this, and she gonna have all these many kids and stuff, and all this stuff is going to happen. But my mother kept praying. My mother kept praying. She may not have saw any results happening, but she had the faith to keep praying that eventually God is going to draw her back. Eventually, she's not going to be a prodigal anymore. Eventually, she's going to come back. And so she kept praying. And I know that Helen Baylor's song talks about having a praying grandmother and all the things that she went through. I didn't go through all the things that Helen went through, but it's so true. I didn't have a praying grandmother. I had a praying mother. I had a mother that continued to pray. Though she's looking at a daughter she doesn't recognize, she's looking at an individual that she doesn't even know who they are, but she kept praying, and she kept believing that God is going to do something. God is going to change her. As I said in my post, eventually, God got my attention, and he got my attention by the fact that I got into some trouble, and it was trouble that she couldn't get me out of. All the other trouble that I caused, she told them, I don't want to prosecute her. I don't want to prosecute her. I don't want to prosecute her. And she kept praying. She kept praying. She paid my mistakes. She literally financially paid for my mistakes, my things that I did. But she kept praying. But God was like, enough is enough. I need you to get back over here where you belong. So a situation came that she couldn't get me out of. A situation came where fraud was committed, and she couldn't do anything but pray. So at this time, I ended up with a court case. I ended up with all kinds of things going on. I ended up with all kinds of different things happening, and she could only pray. There was nothing else she could do. Nothing. There was nothing else she could do. Nothing at all. She couldn't make it go away. She couldn't pray it away. There was nothing she could do other than pray and ask God to be there and ask God for his will to be done in the situation. But there was nothing, literally nothing that she really could do other than pray and have faith and trust that God was going to be God and that God was going to do what he needed to do. And that's what she did. She continued to pray. She continued to pray. She continued having the faith that God, I don't understand what's going on. I don't know how you're going to fix this, but I do know you're going to work it out. I do know you're going to fix it. I do know that you're in control. I do know that. I know that you are in control. I know that you are in control of this whole situation. So I have to trust and rely on you to do what you said you were going to do. And I don't know what God told her he was going to do concerning me and the situation. Other than that he had it under control and that he was going to fix it. So I ended up having to go to court. I had to get a public defender. I couldn't afford an attorney or any of that for the situation that I had gotten myself into. But even before I got to go to court, I decided that I had caused her too much trouble. I had done too much. There was no hope for me. It was over. And that the best thing that I could do for her and for everybody else, it was just to take my life. It was just to end it. Because if I ended it, then she wouldn't have to worry about the suffering. She wouldn't have to worry about the embarrassment anymore. She wouldn't have to worry about any of that because I would just be gone because I was a bad daughter. I was a horrible daughter. So she wouldn't have to worry about any of that anymore because I would just be gone. And that is what the enemy literally told me. Everybody, including your mother, will be better off if you're gone. How can she love you? She's not going to love you after this. She's mad and upset. Anything negative, anything that the enemy could tell me to push me even closer toward taking my life, he said it. He did it. To the point that I believed him. And I wrote a note. And I apologized for everything that I did. I was sorry. And that she would be better off without me because I was a horrible daughter. But God is faithful. God is faithful. Because even though the enemy was all in my head, all in my ears, telling me to do this, getting me to do that, God was on the throne. And God was saying, I got you, daughter. I got this. I got this. I see your heart. I know what's in your heart. So I got it. But I didn't know that at the time. All I knew at that very moment and at that very space and time was the best thing that I could do was to end it. And at that time, I think I wasn't working. And if I was doing temporary jobs. So it was during a time when I literally wasn't on a temp job. They didn't have anything. And so I was my mother's caretaker to a certain extent. So I knew what all of her medication did, knew what it all did. She was diabetic. And she had medicine that controlled it as well as taking a shot. So I sat there, I had written the note, and I looked at the bottle, and I took all, I think, except for maybe 10 of the pills. And by the time the ambulance got there, because she wasn't feeling well, so she called 911. Oh yeah, my mother was blind at this point, so she couldn't see. So she didn't know anything. She just knew she wasn't feeling well. So she called 911. But what she didn't know was God had her call because her daughter was literally passing away. But God was still there in the midst of it with his blood protecting me, angels guarding over me. So that when the EMTs got to the house, they checked her out. They found nothing wrong with her. But one of them saw this note and asked her some questions. And I believe she said no. She didn't know about it. And they asked how I was related. And she said, that's my daughter. What's going? I think she asked what was going on. But all I know is I heard the EMT say, how much did you take? And I was slowly going out of consciousness because I took enough to where I should have been in a diabetic coma. And when they realized what I had taken and they asked her what it was, they immediately started making phone calls because I could hear that much. And they were telling them what to do and what to give me to try to counteract what I had taken. And so then I get to the hospital and then they're like, well, we got to pump her stomach. And there's a process that you go through to pump your stomach if you're awake. And I was awake. And as I'm going through this process of them pumping my stomach, I begin to say, God, I don't want to die. 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 But God already knew in my heart that I didn't want to die. He knew she just doesn't have another way out. This looks like the only way out because she believes she's unlovable, unredeemable. So she's listened to what the enemy has told her. And I remember the nurse that they had in there because at this point, you know, they got one of my arms strapped to the bed or whatever it was to make sure I wasn't going to hurt myself. And the nurse was in there, it was a male nurse. And his comment was, at 22 years old, what could be so bad that you want to take your life? Not realizing you don't know what I've been through. You don't know that I'm facing time to go to jail. You don't know how I've just been mean to my mother and how I've just been out of control and all the silly, stupid things that I've been doing. You don't know any of that. You don't know that the enemy has told me your life is worthless. There's nothing worth you living for at all. Nobody loves you. Nobody's going to forgive you. You just need to end it all. You don't know what I've been through. You don't know. But what I do know is that I had a mother that kept praying. I don't know what she felt in that moment when she realized what I had done. I don't know what she was praying and asking God, other than I can only imagine that she's praying and asking God to spare my life. God, don't take her. God, give her another chance. God, don't take her. Spare her life. God, let her live. Don't let her die. I can only imagine those are the things that she was praying, because her daughter was a prodigal. And so I decided that I would sign the paper and I would go up to the mental ward and let them talk to me. And then I got up there because by now I've come to myself. And now I don't want to stay. Now I want to go. But they're not going to let me go because I've already signed and said I was going to stay, and I've already tried to kill myself. So they really can't let me go. So now I'm angry, I'm agitated, and I'm mad, and I'm calling my mother, and I'm telling her I'm not crazy. I want out of here. And she's telling me to calm down, and I'm telling her, call, at that time it was Pastor, but call Bishop, call Bishop, call me, call Bishop, call him. And I'm not staying here. And she's like, well, he's in Bible study, but I'll try. And so she called. And Bishop called where I was, and he talked to the nurses, and he asked them what the medicine was, and they told him. And he asked to speak to me because he was my pastor. And he said, Sony, for me, will you take the medicine? It's not going to harm you. It's not going to hurt you. It's just to calm you down so you can rest and you can sleep. Can you just take it for me? I let Bishop know I wasn't happy about it, but because he asked me to take it, I would take it. And I took it. And for a whole week, I was in there and I was taking the medicine, and they let me go out one Sunday. I think it was 2 weeks. It may have been 2 weeks. Yeah, it was 2 weeks. I was there for 2 weeks. I said a week, but actually I think it was 2 weeks. And I was able to go to church one Sunday on a day pass. And I never will forget that when I went to church that Sunday, Bishop Dixon, she preached that morning. And I went up to get prayer. And of course, everybody by now has already found out and known what I have done. And, that I'm, at this hospital on the mental ward because I've tried to take my life. And when I went up to the altar, she said, God saw your heart and he knew that you didn't want to die. So he spared your life. I've never forgotten that. That though I had been out doing whatever I thought I could do, though I had been out doing just all kind of crazy things, though I had did this and though I had did that, and though I had mistreated my mother, though I had did all of that, God was yet faithful enough to know in my heart when she does that, she's not really wanting to die. That's not what she's wanting to do. Because my mother is praying for me. And my daughter is praying for her. Her mom is praying for her. And she's having faith. And she's trusting me to do what I need, to do whatever needs to be done. She's trusting me to bring her back. So eventually I was able to get out. I had to go to court. I had a public defender. I sat in the hallway waiting for my turn to go in and talk to the judge and the prosecuting attorney. And Bishop went with me, and he was in the hall with me, and he was praying. We prayed, and he prayed with me, and he prayed for me, and we were sitting there, and I was getting nervous. because I watched people who had paid probably expensive money for lawyers, and I watched their lawyers come out and say, the prosecuting attorney says you have to do jail time. I watched it. She was sending everybody to jail for at least 6 months, some longer. And there was one young lady, she had a 4-month-old baby at home and some other kids. And her lawyer came out and said, the prosecuting attorney says, you got to do some jail time this time. You got to do at least 6 months. And her rap sheet was really long. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh my God, this lady is sending people to jail. Oh my God. So now I'm really nervous because the prosecutor, she's no joke. She's overworked. She's got all these cases. She's frustrated and she's sending people to jail. She ain't trying to cut deals with nobody. Everybody going to jail. So my public defender goes in and he says to the prosecuting attorney, this is her first offense. If she makes restitution and does probation for a year, will you expunge it off of her record so that it's never there? And the prosecuting attorney said, yes, if she will do all of that, then I agree to the deal. I wasn't in there. He did that. God allowed him to say that to her. And God allowed her to accept it. He came out and he said to me, I talked to the prosecuting attorney and this is what she said. If you make restitution and if you do probation for a year and you stay out of trouble, at the end of your probation, she'll expunge it off of your record and it'll be as if it was never there. When I tell you the fact that my mother had been praying for me, God began to move on her behalf. So parents, mothers, fathers, those of you that have prodigals that have walked away from God, sons or daughters, don't stop praying for them, because in due season, in God's own time, he's going to answer that prayer. He's going to draw them back. Now, it may not be the way that you think it should be. It may not even look how you think it should look. It may be rough. It may be hard. But I'm telling you, my mother kept praying for me. She kept laying before God and asking God to intercede on her daughter's behalf. A daughter that had walked away from God. A daughter that had decided, I'm just going to do me. A daughter that wasn't even thinking about doing the right thing anymore. A daughter that was being mistreated, who was mistreating her. A daughter who was rejected, abandoned, looking for love in all of the wrong places. She kept praying. A daughter who had just decided that she didn't want to live anymore, so she tried to take her life. She kept praying. She didn't stop. She didn't give up. She didn't walk away. She kept praying. She stayed on her knees before God. She stayed there on her knees before God, interceding on my behalf and having the faith that God was going to do it, that God was going to draw me and bring me back. So after my public defender came out and he told me that, and I said yes. He said, well, come on, let's go on back into the court and we'll wait for the judge to call your name. And I came and I sat and I waited and I waited. And while I was waiting, I watched people go to jail that day. I watched the young lady that was in the hall be given I think it was 30 days to get her stuff in order because she had her children. And she had to find somebody to take care of her children for 6 months. I watched all of that go on. And then it came my turn. And I walked up and the judge said, "Do you plead guilty to this charge?" And I said, "I plead guilty." He said, "And you've said you'll make restitution and you're going to do probation for a year." And I said, "Yes, sir." And he asked the prosecuting attorney, "Do you agree to do you agree to this deal?" And she said, "Yes, I do." God moved on my behalf because of my mother. And I was praying too, but my mother was really laid. She was laid out before God for me. And my pastor was praying for me. And God worked that thing out. And I remember these words to this day. And that was over 30 years ago. And I remember the words to this day. Bishop said to me, "Now, Sony, now you got to get right now. You got to get right. And you got to get faithful in church. Because you can't just get this from God and then just go on and do your thing. You got to get right." Was I perfect? No, wasn't perfect. Did I fall down? Yep, I fell down quite a few times. But I got myself back in church at that point. And I was faithful to my probation every Monday. Every Monday, I was there. I wasn't in trouble. I had to have a job. God opened the door for me at that time. I don't know if they're still around, but Kelly Temporary Agency was the best agency for you to work for on a temporary basis. Every job I got with them was a good job. And it paid the money that I needed to pay in order to pay restitution. And I was faithful. I didn't get in no trouble. I did everything I was supposed to do. And 9 months in, I went to the probation officer on that Monday. And he said, "You know what? You've been coming here for 9 months." It was a young white man that was my probation officer. He said, "You know what? You're one of my good parolees. You have been coming here for 9 months. You haven't gotten in any trouble." He said, "So you know what? We're going to end your probation early and we're going to make today your last day. You don't have to report next month. And we're going to send in your paperwork." He said, "And I see that it says it's supposed to be expunged." He said, "We're going to make sure it gets expunged." When I tell you that because my mother was praying, God began to do some things. She began to see God bring her daughter back. She began to see God mend our relationship before she left. Before she left the earth, God mended our relationship and gave us two good years together before he called her home. When I told you that I don't know all that she prayed for me, but I know the manifestation of what I'm doing right now is because Virgie M. Davis, Minister Virgie M. Davis, laid before the Lord for her daughter. And I know without a shadow of a doubt, all that I'm doing is being manifested, though she's not here to see it. The timber that she laid up for me, the nights that she cried for me. So I'm talking to every mother and every father, whether your son or your daughter is a prodigal, don't you stop praying and don't you stop having the faith, because I'm an example of a prodigal that God began to intercede, and the manifestation of those prayers are happening right now, right this very moment. Don't give up on your prodigals. Don't give up on them, because God hasn't given up on them. So don't you give up. Keep praying. Even when it looks like they're going even further and they're clowning even worse, don't you stop. Because God is in the midst of drawing that prodigal back. God is in the midst of doing a great work. You just got to keep the faith. And you just got to keep praying for your prodigal. So I want to encourage the parents of prodigals. Don't give up. Don't stop praying for them. Do not stop praying for them. Don't give up on them, because God is going to answer your prayer. He's going to answer your prayer. How do I know? Because he answered my mama's prayer. Some things she got to see, but the majority she didn't get to see. But I do believe in my heart. I don't have any proof. I just believe in my heart that before she passed away, God allowed her the privilege to see a little bit of what her manifested prayer would look like in my life. I believe he gave her that so that she had peace to be able to leave this world and transition to the other side. That's just my belief in my heart, that God allowed her that. So if you are the mother or the father of a prodigal, don't stop praying. Don't stop having the faith. Don't give up, because God is going to do exactly what he's told you he's going to do for that prodigal. You just have to hold on to it. You just have to believe it. And I know that husbands and wives can be prodigals too, but tonight I was led to talk as a prodigal daughter to the parents that are praying for their prodigal, and they don't see nothing happening. They don't see anything happening. All they know is, God, I'm praying and I don't see no changes. God, all I know is I'm praying and I don't see anything different. I don't see anything different. They still doing the same thing. They've gotten worse. They're not getting better. I promise you. Things are not as they seem, even though they look a mess. God is still in control. God is still going to draw that prodigal back. God is still going to bring them back. Why? Because he brought me back. Because I'm a prodigal that he brought back. And it's all because of my mama's prayers. It's all because of that. It has nothing to do with me. It has nothing to do with how good I was. It has nothing to do with that at all. It has to do with the fact that my mother was praying. And she kept praying. And she believed in her prayer. And she believed that God was going to do exactly what he said he was going to do. Now, did it always look like I was coming back? I can guarantee you, no ma'am, no sir. It did not always look like her daughter was coming back. I'm sure on some occasions she was probably like, God, are you sure? Are you sure that she's coming back. This is my mother, Minister Virgie Davis. That's my dad, Deacon Norman Davis. But this woman right here, she prayed for me. She laid before God for me. And God answered her prayer. God answered her prayer. And God brought her daughter, who was a prodigal, back. God is not a respecter of person. So if he did it for her, why wouldn't he do it for you? If he got a hold of her prodigal daughter, why wouldn't he get a hold of your prodigal daughter or son? He's not a respecter of persons. He'll do it. Just keep the faith and keep believing and keep praying, because God is a man of his word. All right, that's all I had to say. I hope that it blesses you. I hope that whoever was able to watch live, that it blessed you. I hope those that come across it, that it blesses you, that it encourages you. If you know someone that has a prodigal son or daughter that needs to hear this, send it to them. If you know a prodigal that needs to hear this, send it to them. But God really wanted me to encourage the parents of prodigal sons and daughters. Don't stop praying. Don't stop believing, because God is a man of his word. And if he told you they're coming home, then they're coming home. Because I believe he told my mother she's coming home. And I came home. All right. Well, I love each and every one of you. Um, just want to throw out the announcement. We're getting very close to December the 10th and the 11th, which is our virtual. It's our very first War Room Warriors Worldwide Prayer Ministry virtual intercessors conference. And we would love for you to come and join us. Come and, get what God has for you. Come and get deliverance. Come and get healing. Come and get healthy. Come and get made whole. Come and receive what God has for you. This is going to be a powerful conference. It's going to be a powerful move of God. And so if you are interested in coming, please, we've got the link to where you can get tickets, which is our website. We have it scrolling down at the bottom. We're also getting ready to put up the flyer that shows the speakers that we're going to have on Friday night and the speaker that we're going to have on Saturday night, and the seminar speakers that we're going to have on Saturday, and the psalmist that we're going to have on Friday night and Saturday all day. So we want you to come out. This is the time that God is pouring into the intercessor. This is the time that if you are really wanting to go deeper in intercession and you're really wanting to know more about intercession, then this is it. This is where you need to be. This is where you want to be. You want to be at this conference because it is really going to be powerful, is the word that I'm looking for. It is going to be powerful. The anointing is going to be there. God is going to show up and show out. And so we're going to make this even bigger so that you guys can see it. These are the speakers that we're going to have. As you can see, Apostle Sophia will be our Friday night speaker on December 10th. That is my spiritual mother. She is a very powerful, anointed woman of God, and she can pray down fire. She can deliver you God can use her to get your deliverance, to send the anointing, to send healing, to give you words that will just blow your mind about what God is speaking where you're concerned. And down here, as you can see, Bishop Terrence Coleman, that is my home church pastor. And Bishop Coleman is a fireball. He can preach, he can teach, he can play the bass, he can do carpenting work, he can do it all. But the one thing I know, he can pray. He can pray down fire. He can lay his hand on you and you look up, you getting up off the floor. I'm telling you, he has the word in him and he's anointed man of God. He is our speaker on Saturday. So come and join us on Saturday night. But during the day, we have 3 powerful people that are a part of our ministry, and they're going to be teaching a seminar class on Saturday morning. And so our first seminar speaker is going to be Prophetess Shanetta Hamilton. Oh my God, that is my sister in Christ. She is like my extended family. And then we have Pastor Demetrius. He is a powerful man of God that knows the end time and knows that word about the end time and revelation. Prophetess Shanetta, oh my God, that woman of God is so powerful. She can pray and set you on fire in praying. And then we're going to have Prophetess Katriana. She is another sister in Christ. She is my extended family as well. I've known her for about a year. And when I tell you she can pray down fire and she can give you the tools that you need to know how to war, to know how to intercede, you don't want to miss it. She spent 22 years in the military, and God has taken her military career, and he has brought it over into the kingdom. And when I tell you, oh my God, it is going to be powerful. You do not want to miss it. And last and surely not least is my friend. We grew up in the same church together. None other than psalmist evangelist Crystal Harvey. And Crystal can sing, y'all. She can preach too now. She can preach too, but she can sing. And so she's going to be with us. Excuse me. She's going to be with us singing. And I'm so excited. So excited about her going to be there with us. And so on Friday night, service will start at 6:30. Excuse me, and we're going to start with prayer, and then we're going to worship a little bit, and then at 7:15 we're going to turn it over to Apostle Sophia, who is going to minister to us as the Lord leads and guides her. We're praying, I believe there'll be impartations, whatever it is. We're going to let God use her and have his way. And then we're going to come back on Saturday at 9:00 in the morning, and we're going to pray, and we're going to worship for about 15 minutes or so, and then we're going to start our seminars, and they're going to go from 9:30 to 12:30, and each one of our seminar speakers will have an hour. And at 12:30 we're going to, between 12:30 and 12:45 we're going to dismiss. And so we will have a break from our dismissal point until 6:30 Saturday evening. So that's enough time for you to do shopping, take care of your husband, your children, see about your family, do your errands, take a nap, whatever it is you need to do. And then at 6:30 that evening, we are coming back for Bishop to round out our conference. And I am just so excited. And, I am just blown away at watching what God is getting ready to do. I'm blown away at the fact that God honors obedience. When you're obedient to God, that puts a requirement on God to do exactly what he said he was going to do for you. Why? Because you're walking in obedience. And when I told you I'm walking in obedience, I'm walking in obedience. Because I've had conversations with God. And I'm like, God, this, and this. I said, but you said to do this, so I'm doing this. So all I can do, God, is leave it up to you to do the rest. I have to be obedient, and then I give the rest to you because I'm walking in obedience. And when you walk in obedience, God's required. He's required to do what needs to be done because you're walking in obedience. And so I'm walking in obedience. I have the faith to believe that whoever God is drawing, whoever God is tugging on, whoever God is telling you need to be a part of this, I'm just trusting and believing that they're going to be a part of it, that they're going to say, you know what, God, I'm going to set aside Friday and Saturday because I want to hear from you. I want to be delivered. I want to be healed. I want to be healthy. I want to be whole. I want to go deeper. I want to go deeper into this because we are living in a day and a time where God is requiring more. He's requiring so much more. He's requiring us to go into a deeper place. He's requiring us to step out. He's requiring us to step out of the box, out of the boat, out of whatever it is that you're in. He's requiring us to step out and come higher. Step out and come higher. And so, we'll put aside things, we'll put aside time to do all other kind of things. But when it's something we know God is requiring us to do, we don't want to put aside time for that. We don't want to make time. We don't want to say, you know what, I can't today. I wish I could, but you know what? I got somewhere I got to be. God is pulling me. God is calling on me. God is saying, I need you. I need you to come over here. I need you to get delivered. I need you to get healed. I need you to be healthy. I need you to be made whole. And I'm not just talking about naturally healthy. I'm talking about spiritually being healthy. I need you to do that. And a lot of times we don't want to do that. And we just kind of push it over to the side and say, you know what? I can do that later. Now is the time. This is the time and the season for deliverance. This is the time and the season for deliverance. It's here. Deliverance, it's here. And those of you that know God is telling you this is your season and your appointed time for deliverance, for the healing, for being made healthy, for being made whole, for the double portion, for the new fresh oil, for the new anointing, for the fire of tongues. He's telling you now is the time, now is the season, this is it. Then you need to come on. You need to be obedient and come. While he's drawing you, you need to come. While it's being stirred, while the water is being stirred, you need to come. While the fire is falling fresh, you need to come. Because he's pulling at you and he's saying, come on, come on. I got what you need. It's here. It's right here. It's right now. I got what you need. It's here. It's right now. I got what you need. But we get caught up sometimes in life, what's going on in life, and we decide, nah, I don't have time. I've got time. Playtime is over. And the time that we think that we have, we really don't have it. If you're still trying to do church, you're missing it. Because when we stepped into 2020, church was over. We went into kingdom. And if you haven't transitioned yourself over to the fact in your mind, in your eyesight, in your hearing, in your speaking, in your walking, in your thinking, in your talking, that we are in the kingdom work and building, you might want to go back and check yourself. Because church was over when the doors got closed. We immediately went into kingdom. Because guess what? Church is not a building. I'm going to say that one more time. Church is not a building. You and I are the church. We're the church. So when the building closed, because that's where you go to come together corporately to worship and to pray and to serve God corporately. You should have been okay when the building closed. Why? Because you are the church. So the church is in you. You should have still been able to function. Why? Because you're the church. If you didn't take stock in 2020 of where you were in your relationship with God, you missed something. Because 2020 was a year of self-reflection, self-examination between you and God. Not you and everybody else, but between you and God. Where am I in my walk with God? Where am I in my faith with God? Where am I with and in God? Where am I? And if you didn't take the time in 2020 to do that, shame on you. You need to be taking that time right now. Because when you step into 2022, you got to be ready to go to battle. You got to be ready to war. You got to be ready to intercede. You got to be ready for what God has planned for you. So again, thank you all that have stopped by. Thank you, Tanya, for stopping by. Thank you to the Facebook user who stopped by. Thank you to everyone that has stopped by to listen and watch. If you missed the beginning and you're just now coming, once the stream ends, I think it's like maybe 5 or 10 minutes. You can go back and look at it again or look at it tomorrow, but go back and look at it tomorrow because it really dealt with mothers and fathers that have prodigals that they're praying for, and their prodigal hasn't come back. Their prodigal hasn't returned yet. I'm a prodigal, and my mother prayed for me, and I did return. And if anybody else, if you're praying for prodigals, if you're someone that's praying for someone's son or daughter that's a prodigal, don't give up. Keep praying. But go back and listen to this. Now, if you are a part of the virtual intercessors conference group, you won't be able to share this outside of the group. But if you go to War Room Warriors Worldwide Prayer Ministry page, if you go to our ministry page, then you'll be able to share this live from that page. But you won't be able to share it from the group because the group is private and it is only for those people that have registered for the conference. If you know someone that needs to be a part of the conference, give them the website that's going across below, which is the ministry website. The only difference is take the S out of ministry, and it is War Room Warriors Worldwide Prayer Ministry.com. Again, take the S out of ministry and .com. Once you click on that link, they go halfway down. They'll be able to see where the event is listed, and then they would want to click the RSVP button, which takes them directly into uh, the Eventbrite page, and there they'll be able to purchase their ticket. And the tickets are $23. And once you purchase a ticket, excuse me, you'll get an email from me with the link so that you can join the group. All right. Blessings to all of you all. I pray that you have a nice night of rest and sleep, and that God blesses you and covers you and keeps you, that you rise tomorrow, and that you're able to do all that God has destined and purposed and ordained for you and chosen for you to do on tomorrow. And I pray that you all have a wonderful, peaceful, restful, lovely, wonderful, prosperous Thanksgiving.